Hello, my name is David O'Sullivan and I'm speaking to you from Brussels on the 10th of June. So we are actually just emerging from the lockdown, which has been with us basically since the middle of March. It has been a very remarkable and interesting period, helped here in Brussels by the fact that we've had splendid weather, exceptional sunshine and blue skies, which was on the one hand very pleasant because you looked out your window every morning and saw sunshine and blue skies, and that was very cheering. A little bit frustrating because work had to continue and we were all working from home. And you were looking out and thinking, well, actually, I'd rather go for a walk in the park or be sitting in the garden. But on balance, I think having good weather rather than the more traditional Brussels cloudiness with bursts of rain was positive. I work for a US law firm, Steptoe and Johnson, which has an office here in Brussels. We very quickly moved out of our offices, moved to teleworking as soon as the lockdown began. And I was very impressed with the way that the firm was able to put in place the necessary infrastructure, the IT, the support systems. We had great leadership from our boss in DC, Phil West, who regularly updated us and kept morale going. Colleagues got together and created water cooler discussions around video conferencing and team meetings. So a big effort was made to try and recreate some of the atmosphere of and collegiality of an office. But of course, the fact is we were all working from home. As a law firm and consultancy and advisory body, it's relatively easy to do this kind of stuff from home. You basically work on emails, documents, contacts with clients who also had video facilities. So I think from a functional point of view, it's been relatively easy to continue, helped by strong IT from the firm, helped by excellent internet connections here in Brussels, which have actually functioned. I don't want to touch wood because you never know, but until now we haven't even had the slightest hiccup in our internet provider. But on the other hand, I must say I have not been converted or a fan of video conferencing as a substitute for working in an office and having face-to-face meetings. I miss the collegiality of the office. I miss the interaction, and I don't find working by video conference, it can be functionally a substitute, but it's not really a very satisfactory one. And people who say this is the new normal, I'm not so convinced. For me, I will be actually quite happy to get back to an office structure. We will not return to the office fully return until probably early September. Some of us are going back occasionally now, but with a lot of restrictions, which basically dilute the socializing benefit of being in an office. But that's my takeaway, is that yes, you can do a lot by video conference, but it is not in the end a substitute. The other thing that we've missed, I must say I've missed here in Europe, is of course the ability to travel, which is something which we kind of take for granted, being able to jump on a train or a plane at the weekend or jump in a car. That has not been possible. You never gave it a lot of thought before. Well, now that it's not possible, it becomes something that the absence of which you become very conscious of. You feel it for family. Our son lives in Dublin. Our daughter lives in London. We haven't seen them for many months and probably will not see them for several more months, given the quarantine restrictions. And while travel is possible, it's subject to a lot of very understandable restrictions. So my takeaway from all of this is that it is an experience which has definitely, on the one hand, shown our resilience, that we are able to survive in these kind of situations. Of course, I'm conscious that some of us live in bigger houses with gardens. Some people live in very small accommodation, and even working from home was a challenge. You had one person living in a small apartment, or two people in a small apartment, and one has to do their work from the kitchen and one from the bedroom. If you had small children, school-age children, again, more challenging to try and manage all of this. So I'm conscious that, not everyone has had a positive experience of this. And I think we need to draw some lessons. As I say, the vulnerability of our systems, I mean, it's been fine as long as the IT works, as long as the internet connection is fine. Imagine that the internet didn't work, or even worse, electricity didn't work. The vulnerability of our food chains. I read somewhere that in most of Western society it varies a bit from country to country, but people are only, 4 or 5 meals away from not having enough food to feed themselves. And we're very conscious of the need for the importance of supermarkets, grocery stores, and the staff in those stores who keep our supplies available. I'm not turning into a survivalist. I'm not going to stock my basement with 2 years worth of supply of food. But I do think we need to draw some conclusions about the vulnerability and prepare for situations in which this might recreate itself if we ever had another wave, of course, of this, or indeed if we are hit by another pandemic. And of course, it perhaps illustrates also the vulnerability going forward in terms of climate change. I mean, one of the benefits of this has been the quietness of the streets, the ability to cycle and to walk much more easily, less noise and pollution from cars and other heavy vehicles. Some cities are going to try and make this a more permanent feature. So I think there are many, many interesting lessons which will be drawn. So I think we should not waste this crisis and draw some lessons from it. But in the short term, of course, the immediate thing is to get the economy back up and running, and that's going to be a challenge because many people are hurting economically. And I think all governments, particularly in the EU, were making big efforts to put a lot of money into trying to help member states get their economies back up and running and to, as quickly as possible, restore full levels of economic activity. So I send my very best wishes to the European American Chamber of Commerce in New York. I won't be getting to your side of the Atlantic, I imagine, for many, many months, but it is my big hope to be able to get back sometime in happier moments and to renew my contacts with the Chamber. In the meantime, best wishes and stay safe.